Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Live from main headquarters in Holosulu, this is Queen Helen Abdurrajak, Queen Elizabeth III, March 4, 2022. Good morning, Global Earth, and thank you for waking up early, waiting for my Imperial Daily broadcast. It is an honor seeing and knowing that our mission is spreading like a wildfire in all nations, all over the world. Cheers! And I know that our big brothers are just watching in every corners of the world. Our perseverance is strengthened and continue praying for all of us as we go day by day in our redemption process of all the holy assets, properties, and sovereignty of the Royal Imperial Lupasug Islamic United Kingdom of Sulu in North Borneo in the Maharlika Kingdom of God, Lupasug Empire. This is the antidote, the resolution, the solution of the many claimants that are supported by the head of states, military, and government officials. This is a conglomerated conspiracy, not only in Mindanao, in Maguindanao, but it is all over now the world. The involvement even of the Tribunal Superior of France in Madrid. All of them used the sovereignty as their fighting gadget in suiting their claim. As I discussed yesterday about the final award by the Court of France in Madrid, as filed by Fornan et al. Versus Malaysia as respondent. Just imagine there is a law done by the Republic of the Philippines. It is a law because that is in 1950s. It is like a Republic Act of today and needed to be implemented. It is done by the Congress, Republic of the Philippines. Take note, this is the House Bill 42. It is a law, but they covered this. This is the conspiracy. This is the stoppage because they want the claimants to come out and be their puppet for their own gratification and their continuous grabbing the land, the assets. It is a resolution expressing the sense of the Congress of the Philippines that North Borneo belongs to the heirs of the Sultan of Sulu. That's why they have made the 9 heirs to claim Sabah. But they were only given the compensation. That is now the totality of the 14 billion US dollar, equivalent to 62 billion, which they are trying to get. And to think of it, it is the ultimate sovereignty of the Republic of the Philippines. Now, they have made the other court to do it when in fact there is a law. It must be the President of the Philippines to conduct negotiations for the restoration of such ownership in the sovereign jurisdiction over the said territory. So it is their way of doing, and why on earth it's not in the Philippines, it's not in the Mahkamah Tinggi or the usual, the High Court of Sabah and Sarawak. And thank you, Tan Sri Malanjum, You remember since 2010, I had been giving you coordination, letter, documents. So you are also part to be litigated in the court of law of the sovereign court. It is very important for you to know that Queen Helen Elizabeth III and Raja Mamay Jamalul Kiram III are sovereign judges of the 7 Makdum in Danan Sulu. And this court, not only here, but covering the Southeast Asia in the Maharlika Kingdom of God, the territorial domain of the Royal Empire of Lupasug, that is, with the royal government intact, with the Federal Republic of Lupasug, together with the Raja, who is a sovereign judge of Sulu and North Borneo, is giving our verdict that the final award of the Tribunal Superior de Justicia is null and void. This is the court, and as you see, they have rushed everything in consonance in relation with the war erupted in Ukraine and in, you can just imagine, Russia. So the fight to stop the war in Russia, in Ukraine, is the stoppage of the claim of Sabah that is rooted in the conspiracy, a manipulation to deny and cover the true heirs and successors of the Sultanate of Sulu in North Borneo. To injustice to SJK2, Sultan Jamalul Kiram II, in killing the true blood. Remember, I had been explaining to you, they have killed Ama Ali, Sultan Turun Lawan Dumagat, Sultan Muhammad Ismail Kiram, the Sultan of the Royal Hashemite Sultanate of Sulu and Sabah. Sultan Jamalul Kiram II lived in old age in Brunei. That is the father of Raja Saleha, the wife, the first wife of Sultan Hassan al-Bolkiah. And as we have seen, it is the conspiracy because of the participation in the Sabah standoff, the intrusion to Lahad Datu standoff in Sabah, Malaysia, is supported by the Sultan of Brunei, and the illegal signing of framework agreement in October 15, 2012. Adding on it, it is a Zamboanga standoff, and that is supported by the Sultan of Johor in Malaysia. And the 44 men sacrificed. They were silenced like a lamb because they have known too much. Together with the presence of the American in the invasion actually of the inner Liguasan. This is a continuous black operations in Liguasan Mars. They have covered together with the MILF, now the key player of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of the Muslim Mindanao. The Marawi Seeds is the linkages of the Office of the Presidential Office for Peace Process with the Revolutionary Moro National Liberation Front Chairman Normis Wari, in conspiracy with the claimant Sultan Sulu and Sabah, with Abdus Sakurtan, Moid Sul, the Sultan they have chosen. Now, the authority they have been using and called Aba in Maimbung Sulu in their claims right now is Sultan Alnas Jamalul Kiram Alam III. He is being abused, just to get the 64 billion Malaysian ringgit. Truth and divine justice will be given to you. This is the Holy Sovereign Court of the 7 Makdum in by Puti in the Sulu. We are imposing the sovereign law in that the Royal Decree 109 and Royal Decree 107, the Divine Justice implementation, is the key to end the war. This is the divine law. This is the role of law to enforce. The Royal Decrees 101 to 108 should be the final stand to litigate the erring officials, military, local, and national government, the claimants, the saboteurs, conspirators, black operators, master puppets, corrupt leaders, drug lords, political and military packagers, and the blockers of this holy mission in saving the global earth and humanity. This is imposed and implemented. Remember, I am the sovereign church. As we declare the court, the intact of the court, so therefore, the one that awarded to the claimants Norkia K. Fornan, Fuad A. Kiram, Sherman T. Kiram, Permaisuli Kiram Guerson, Taj Mahal Kiram Tarsumnaki, Ahmad Nasard Kiram Sampang, Wizard Raunda Kiram Sampang versus the Malaysia government. And imagine, we as the sovereign courts give you the verdict now that this is null and void. Remember the representative of the claimants, Mr. Paul H. Cohen, Elizabeth Mason, Denise Del Signore, Grace Inn at Square Chambers, London, in United Kingdom. Supported by Professor Bernardo Crimades. This is the law firm. Mr. Bernardo M. Crimades Roman, another identity. Javier Giuliani and Paloma Carrasco. This is, I think, a Filipino. Patrick Byrne, Micaela Oisho, Julie Block of the Crimanes and Asociados in Goya, 18 second floor in Madrid, Spain. The respondent, Honorable Tan Sri Idrus Harun, Attorney General's Chamber of Malaysia, in Persiana Pardana, Precinct 4 in Putrajaya. This is a conspiracy in us, a sovereign charge, sovereign ruler, Elizabeth III. This is called null and void. With the premise that the sovereign ownership is in the hands of the king and queen. That is Raja Muhammad Gamar Mamay Hassan Abdul Rajak, Sharif Al Sultan Gamar bin Abdul Ghaffar, and Queen Helen Fatima Maria Makiling, Jusi Mulan bin Raja Baginda Ali Elizabeth III, as evidence by the last will and testament using and executed by the prima facie, the 33rd Sultan of Sulu in North Borneo, the Royal Hashemite Sultanate of Sulu and Sabah. So, you claimant Fuad Fornan et al. Is already classified as null and void because the living witness, the living sultan, the signatory of the ownership is alive, and upon his execution of the last will and testament as submitted to all over the globe with the Queen of England and the Big Brothers, it is Sharif Usman, Dato Ismail Mun Ali, Sultan Turun Lawan Dumaga, Sultan Muhammad Ismail Ikram, 33rd Sultan of Sulu and North Borneo, and by law of succession from Sultan Saidina Abu Bakar Shariful Hashim, 1405, and lineage from Allah to Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sayyidina Siti Khadijah, sealed by Brunei royal family, with permanent address at Poblacion Dato Biang, Maguindanao, and current address in Lacandula, Davao City, is executing my last will and testament in favor of my grandson, Raja Muhammad Gamar Mamay Hassan Abdul Rajak, Sharif Al-Sultan Gamar bin Abdul Ghaffar Jamalul Kiram III, the 34th Sultan of Sulu and North Borneo, and the 16th Sultan, King of Southeast Asia, predecessor of Law 101, the sovereign judge of Sulu and North Borneo, and my spiritual goddaughter, Queen Maria Makiling Helen Fatima Nazaria Panulino Abdurrajak Jus Simulan bin Raja Baginda Ali Elizabeth III, the sovereign judge of the Royal Imperial Lupasug Islamic United Kingdom of Sulu and North Borneo, Queen of Philippine Islands, MA 63 ASEAN. So he has done the last will in favor of the succession. Just imagine, what succession do you have, claimants? And this is very embarrassing to the court, the Tribunal Superior de Justicia of Madrid in France. Furthermore, it is stipulated in the will that as caretaker of the Lupasug Empire, together with my twin enchanted Ina Putri Makapugus and her cousin Putri Pindalidayan, the queen of the environment, whose husband is Sultan Pandala Pasandalan, my cousin, the holder of the ancestral land of Mindanao. But what remains is the Liguasan Marstugal Sultan Sabarungis Maguindanao, that is the Isle of the oil and gas that protects the entire vein all over Southeast Asia into the Middle East. And that I am vouching and attesting that my grandson Raja Muhammad Gamar Mamay Hassan Abdurrajak, Sharif Al-Sultan Gamar bin Abdul Ghaffar Jamalul Kiram III, is the world beneficiary of the sovereign Kiram asset and properties, cash heritage, bank accounts in all prime banks globally, and is the reigning 34th Sultan of Sulu and North Borneo, and the heir and replacer of the 16th Sultan of Southeast Asia of the predecessor of law from Sultan Hussein Kamaluddin, the first and last king of Southeast Asia, after I installed him and my goddaughter, Queen Maria Makiling Helen Fatima Nazaria Panulino Abdurrajak Jusimulan bin Raja Baginda Ali Elizabeth III, and that both my direct heirs and successors by predecessor of Law 101 and by the lineage of Sharif from Sultan Saidina Abu Bakar Shariful Hashim to Sultan Sharif Hussein Kamaluddin Jamalul Kiram Tunku Abdurrahman Putra Al-Hajj, the direct great-grandfather and the grandfather in the Kiram father's side, Dr. Abdul Ghaffar Abdurrajak, and to the Sultan Sharif Raja Anang Hasan Pasang Jamalul Alam, the direct grandfather in the Alam mother's side in Sijahara Hasan Pasang. The installation was held in Sabah, Malaysia, last February 2, 2020. We were there. Precisely, all of you has to follow the rule of law. We have submitted the notice of absolute authority to the Supreme Court of Justice, the Department of Justice, House of Representatives of the Philippines, House of Senate, Office of the President of the Philippines, Office of the Presidential Advisor for Peace Process, Department of Foreign Affairs, Armed Forces of the Philippines, Central Bank of the Philippines, Department of National Defense, Royal ICJ of Sabah Sarawak High Court, Philippine Constitution Association of the Philippines, all embassies in the Philippines, and BI, and all local government units. The notice of absolute authority has been given December 9, 2014. This notice is hereby given for the attention of all concerned officials, government, various government institutions, implementing agencies, and the general population of the Republic of the Philippines. Having been granted the ultimate authorization from the Royal International Court of Justice, we, the Honorable Judge ICJ of Sulu and North Borneo, Sovereign Judge, the Queen of the Philippine Islands, Her Majesty Queen Maria Makiling, Helen Fatima Nazaria Panulino Abdurrajak, and the Honorable ICJ Sulu and North Borneo Sovereign Judge, the Sultan of Sulu in North Borneo, His Majesty Raja Muhammad Gamar Mamay Hassan Abdurrajak, the Royal Charter Company, Sultanate of Sulu and North Borneo, Lupasug, United Kingdom, 1305-1405, 1823, predecessor of Law 101, now declared that we have obtained the scepter, the throne, crown, and birthright as the source of ownership and sovereignty over the Philippine Islands and Sulu and Kalimantan, Bulungan, Sabah, Sarawak, North Borneo. Enclosed then the copy of the letter from the Royal ICJ, authority and copy of power of attorney by Nathaniel, and our complied direct lineage from Shariful Hasim Sultan Saidina Abu Bakr. All of you were given, and this notice also aims to dispel and discredit other pseudo-claimants regarding the Philippine territory, including Sulu, Kalimantan, Bulungan, Sabah, Sarawak, North Borneo, who have also taken similar steps as we have done by writing you on their intent and presenting similar documents. Please be warned that they are all impostors holding spurious documents. So, Cremades Law Asociados, have you really done your due diligence before you have given this final award? And you, Malaysia, Putrajaya, now I challenge you. This is the biggest scandal, and you have not realized that the sovereign judges are already in command. We have written you several times in the past, and we wish to put order in all these claims by declaring that all documents and effort to implement these claims started will end with us, because we are redeemers, not claimants. Despite their purported claims of authenticity, they only muddled our efforts, undermine our mandate to finally put this development plan into motion. We hope to reconcile all the claimants and join us to move forward with our mission to revive the Filipino people and put them into their rightful place in the world stage, that we are the sovereign Filipino people, united among the various tribal and ethnic groups as one nation. Imagine, this was given 2014, and how they have really made us suffer for their own gratification in imposing this kind of claims they have. In fact, they are liable for killing the Sultan and the true blood. And by stopping all of this, they are going to suffer the court of law. And as we know, the sovereign court is intact. So they have given us the chance to battle up, to contest, and to dispute their claim, because we are beyond dispute. beyond refute, because our rule is direct from Allah. This is the difference between you claimants, between you that have put this land into severe damages by allying yourself to the revolutionary, the guy that being hailed by the office of the president pushed through, and that is Nur Miswari, now the son of Abdul Karim. So we have also served you the notice of the final transition to absolute monarchy, dated January 19, 2022, starting January 22, 2022, was the implementation of the absolute monarchy, the Maharlika Kingdom of God, Lupasug Empire. The precision of this documentation is done by the Queen. And imagine, I have to battle up and declare all of you, you have done a terrible mistake and you are an erring claimant to be litigated by the court of law. So in February 14, we have indeed done the proclamation and installation of the absolute monarchy, Maharlika Kingdom of God, Lupasug Empire. We, the sovereign judges of the Royal Imperial Lupasug Islamic United Kingdom of Sulu in North Borneo, Raja Muhammad Gamar Mamay Hassan Abdul Rajak, Sharif Al-Sultan Gamar bin Abdul Ghaffar Jamalul Kiram III, and Queen Maria Makiling Helen Fatima Nazaria Panulino Abdul Rajak, Jusi Mulan bin Raja Baginda Ali Elizabeth III, have sealed the order in the transformation and immediate transition from the Republic of the Philippines into absolute monarchy of Maharlika Kingdom of God, Lupasug Empire, under the sovereign ruler of the King and Queen, last January 19, 2022, and implemented January 22, 2022, as approved by the elders of America and the world. Imagine, these claimants used the deed of 1878, and together with the blood of Baron Overbeck and Alfred Dent of the British North Borneo. Imagine how you tried to block, adulterated the law. You never imagined that Queen have already done her assignment. You are now given the power by these people, a small pie of the money. In exchange of that, what you have done? You have put us on the severe, terrible situation, but I'm going to put the law in order. As you can see, null and void with the premise, as evidenced by the last will. I have read it to you. And the second premise is that the House of Congress and House of Senate were given the 476 documentary book, recognized and proclaimed the heirs, but they did not and supported the lie of the Bangsamoro Autonomous Region of Muslim Mindanao. Mr. Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos, you supported the BARM together with Sultan Muhammad Abdullah Kiram as the claimant right now. You are liable into this. Even if you are the Marcos, even if you are running for the presidency, there is a law to implement. You are going also to be litigated. You have supported the BARM. All of you, Congress, Senate, that's why it's now absolute monarchy. We have given you 5 years grace period and it ended in 2018. And this 5-year transitory phase, you are trying to make a blockage by installing the claimants and now supported by these Cremades Asociados. You are a conspirators in all this. Government of the Philippines, especially the Office of the Presidential Advisor for Peace Process, in conspiracy with the claimant sultan and the revolutionary government. So, as heirs and successors, King Mamay and Queen Helen, from direct lineage of Muhammad Shah and Sharif Ali Barakat of Taif, Saudi Arabia, descendant of Prophet Muhammad, through Sayyidina Hassan with Raja Mamay and King. And this is the Southeast Asia replacer, so therefore Malaysia, Chamber. Wow, you are all into hot waters because you never thought that the king and queen will come out. And us, the 34th Sultan of Sulu and North Borneo, Raja Mamay, will be happy to litigate you all, null and void. And the third premise of the null and void issued to you is that the notice of absolute authority were given to the Supreme Court, as I read, that was in 2014. And the final, in January 22, given, approved and sealed, installed and proclaimed the absolute monarchy. And now I advise all the people of the Philippines, now Maharlika Kingdom of God, continue the signature campaign, which I have done. This is the severe betrayal of trust and confidence by the people, the claimants, and the different world that link to the war in Russia. Just imagine, you can just see how they have made this land damage because of their participation since World War I that erupted in July 28, 1914. This is a precise, there is a war tactician into this. They have the war platform. So in January 28, 1914, they have signed the Carpenter Agreement between John Carpenter and Sultan of Sulu, Jamalul Kiram II, in March 22, 1915. So, the deed of 1878, with the 100 years, also Carpenter Agreement as police power, and of course they said that they bought from Spain. Nonetheless, we have the receipt coming from the office of the administrator of Maharlika Kingdom of God, Lupasug Empire, the receipt that Ferdinand Edralin Marcos, the living witness of the Maharlika Kingdom of God, Lupasug Empire, bought from Hermogenes Rodriguez, and the original OCT, the original title is with us, and this is being kept by the administrator, and the other of it is kept in Buckingham Palace with Queen Elizabeth II. And as Queen Elizabeth III, I am pushing through that all of this will be returned back to our kingdom. The World War II in January 9, 1939, because this is now the conspiracy of the claimants. They have already gotten the golds, transported it to Intramuros, Manila. Without the 617,500 metric tons of gold and the diamonds and the pearls coming from the Sultanate of Sulu and North Borneo, the Lupasug Federation up to Kalimantan, Bulungan, Borneo, Brunei, there is no gold. There is no backup of the Central Bank of the Philippines. So who is now the owner of the Central Bank of the Philippines? Think of it. If we are the owner of the World Bank, we are also the owner of the Central Bank of the Philippines. Thanks. At least with Ama Ali as the living witness, now executed that succession direct from them. Can you still fight claimants? You are going to bang your heads to the wall because we are intact. In February 24, 2022, the war in Russia erupted because Malaysia Madrid, Lanao sees the Marawi sees in conspiracy with the office of the president. Manong Digong, this is a hell that you have not done your assignment. I have given you the time. So this is the moment that you have really to do something. So my love for each and every one of you. This is not an ordinary one, but I have to do my job.